Guy in Georgia is a meteorologist who wants to talk a little bit about science. I apologize that we are running late on time. Thank you for your patience, Guy. What do you got to say?
Oh, yes. I'd like to actually reiterate what the caller before the last one said. I know on your show today you haven't mentioned the awful tornado outbreak in Kentucky, and we all feel for the people there. And as far as your show goes, tying into that, we do know that was a climate change event, and that the area affected was far outside the climatological norm. I mean, we expect any tornado outbreak to occur in December further along the Gulf Coast. But I feel that evangelical Christians or the evangelical community started to become anti-science after Darwin appeared on the scene back there in the 19th century. And yes, if we don't get behind the climate issue as one people, I'm afraid it's going to be far too late for us to do anything. So that's it seems to me like the evangelical community is dragging down all of us, since we're all on the proverbial Titanic at this point. And any thoughts?
Yeah, I would love, Guy, I promise you, I would love to agree with you and say that the evangelicals are doing massive harm on our ability to properly address climate change. And I think they are. But it's not just evangelicals. For some reason, while the internet is a wonderful thing and has given us access to more information than ever, and perhaps because it's given us access to more information than ever, we have more than just evangelicals who are advocating for bad positions. Like within Christendom, there's this notion that you couldn't possibly destroy the planet. God won't allow that to happen. God's going to come back, and everything that he said he's going to do, he's going to do. And all of this is going to be fulfilled, et cetera, blah, 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 blah. And so while they're definitely standing in opposition to science, I don't think enough of them necessarily buy into that, because they're also commanded to be stewards of the earth as well. I think the problem is a general anti-science view. Mm-hmm. Because the first caller today who doesn't believe in vaccines was not a theist and not an evangelical. There's people on all sides out there that are the victims of misinformation campaigns that are religious, and misinformation campaigns that are not religious. And I think if we were to focus on, here's how Christianity is hurting progress on climate change, I think that would be a mistake, only because I think it would turn it into more of a political football than it is, on the basis of you're attacking my religious beliefs. Instead, if you don't go anywhere near Christianity and you just say your position is anti-science across the board, whether you're a theist or not, now you're addressing it fairly, and they don't get to say, well, you're attacking my religion, because all you're saying is, hey, if your religion is anti-science, well, that's on you. All I'm saying is it's anti-science. If you have a religion that says women shouldn't be allowed to be seen in public without a man in their family, and I say that you are against freedom and that you are against women, that's just a fact. I'm not attacking your religion. It's not my fault that your religion is in opposition to equality. And so I agree with you on this, Guy, that there's harm being done. I'm just not convinced of how big the scope is that we can tie directly to evangelicalism. And I know that it extends beyond those boundaries. So I really hope we just focus on, why are you anti-science, and maybe start working to educate people. Because I remember, I'm old enough to remember when people were like, yay, science. And I don't see much yay science these days. And it's really scary.
Yeah, there's a segment of evangelicalism, though, that says that heaven and earth shall be destroyed and that God's going to build a new heaven. And there's a lot of people that hold to that this earth doesn't matter. God's going to destroy it anyway. But I agree with Matt. Beyond that, there's this resistance to critical thinking and to science across the board. And it's I'm developing a talk next year for speaking engagements called "Putting Away Childish Things," which has to do with a biblical verse of when I became a man, I put away childish things. And there's this idea within evangelicalism that espouses not thinking, not engaging in critical thinking, coming to Jesus as a child with simplicity and this blind faith and all those things. And that's dangerous. That's dangerous for individuals and dangerous for the society, as we see. So,
well, I see that too, Dave. Dave, I'll address this to you. I just see that a lot of religious views, or actually religious thought, is inhibiting people to rationalize as well as they potentially could. And I think that might have a lot to do with the educational system all the way from the elementary period into high school, and how parents are actually, I guess, since the 1980s and this era, have been not putting much of an emphasis or as much on math and science, and that in some households it's a lot better for the family or the children to or have been stressed to look at spiritual matters and that sort of thing. So I think that inhibits the society as a whole to address a very large existential problem, like, for example, climate change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I will say this, Guy, and I appreciate the call. I'm gonna talk about this briefly as we wrap up this show. I appreciate your input, and thank you for being not just a meteorologist, but one that's actually advocating for dealing with climate change better. Hopefully you hear the rest of this answer offline, because we have run out of time. But so I want to. Oh, sorry, I dropped Guy there because we were past. But
yeah,
I want to say a couple things. One on this, and then in kind of a hello. I would love to be able, and I mentioned this a little with Guy, to be able to say, oh, the biggest problem we have right now is evangelical Christianity. I don't think that's it at all. Do not get me wrong. Evangelical Christianity is a problem. Fundamentalist religions are problematic for many of the issues. But I don't think that they have the power that some people think they do. And the proof of that is that they're currently battling right now to end Roe v. Wade. And they are currently battling on a number of fronts, but we already won on a number of issues, including marriage equality.
Mm-hmm.
We're not there yet. We don't have true equality everywhere. I don't know how we're going to get there, but I do know that it's the evangelical crowd doesn't have the power base that they have. What you're seeing is the monster in its gasping death throes, I hope, lashing out and trying to do stuff. This is not all about a religion. It is, though, about power and about money and about business. And I don't want to make this sound like any sort of conspiracy theory or conspiratorial thing, but at the end of the day, if most people are for something, while we don't have a simple democracy in the United States, it's going to happen. And that's unfortunate, because some of the things that most people want are bad. That's the nature of it. But some of the things that most people want are better. And what most people want can trump what religions believe and what religions push. I hope we are not too late. I hope that our pride and arrogance and greed and religious sentimentalities haven't made us too late to deal with climate change issues. And there are countless issues that we can be and should be addressing. Not just whether or not we're all going to go up in a ball of flame, whether or not we're going to have more and more of these extreme weather incidents. And I agree with Guy that I think it's ridiculous for anybody to suggest that what's going on right now in Kentucky and other areas. And by the way, if you're out there in those areas, please take care of yourself and stay safe. But it's ridiculous to suggest that those are not strongly, very likely, the results of climate change, of extreme changes, because you just don't expect that. Oh, it's December and we're getting, tornadoes all over Kentucky. we've done a bad job, we humans, of maintaining our respect for scientific inquiry, for critical thinking, for data and evidence.
Mm-hmm.
We've not only given away participation trophies, but we've told kids for so long that you can be anything you want when you grow up. And I think that's a good thing generally to tell kids, because you don't know what those kids can and can't be when they grow up. And so you keep every door open for them. And you point out that no door is necessarily closed. But we've made some positions that I think should be a little better within anybody's reach. Like right now, it's pretty clear that you don't have to have any sort of realistic understanding about science or the facts of reality or government or diplomacy or how government works, or even be honest to hold positions elected in the House of Representatives, the Senate,
Mm-hmm.
or the presidency.
Mm-hmm.
We've done that, and we're paying a price for it. And if it doesn't lead to our extermination, I genuinely hope that we come out the other side with the better understanding that, yes, freedoms come at a cost, but we're in this together and we all pay that cost. And as long as we are all going to wind up paying that cost, the things that I do affect you, the things that Dave does affects me, the things that Dave and I do affect other people. And this gets to the other caller that was like, where do we draw the line on tolerance? I'm hearing this stuff more and more. The frustrations that we have in the world today. I remember when I first started doing this show and talked about how strange it was to wake up every day in a world where the overwhelming majority of people believe something that you don't. And where, in my opinion, they are demonstrably, clearly unjustified in believing those things. And so that's why I do this. Now, all these years later, I'm seeing more and more people say how weird it is to wake up in a world where not only do people believe in religions that I don't believe in, they believe in all kinds of things that are just easily, obviously not true. Birds are fucking real. Climate change is real. And no matter what you think about the causes of it and whether or not you think it's too late for us to do anything about it, why wouldn't we try? Why shouldn't we be doing as much as we can, if for no other reason than to see if we can impact stuff and do a turn? We fight petty battles sometimes, but they're only petty in the sense that, why are you focused on this issue when this other one is huge? They don't stay petty. Injustices come in tiny little nickel and dime things. Let's take away this little right over here. Let's take away this little right over here. That's why I love people like Andrew Seidel and the Freedom from Religion Foundation, who are actively working to make sure that they protect separation of church and state, no matter how much the Supreme Court may want to tear it down. There's a lot of work to be done. This is great because we're here doing a show. It's a call-in show. Yes, we want to know what you believe in and why. And yes, we're primarily focused on religion. And there are plenty of people out there who would say, why would you focus on religion? There's bigger issues. And I would say that because this is what I know. Mm-hmm. This is the one where I think I can be most clear. And that if you take someone who's bought into religions for bad reasons, they probably believe other things for bad reasons as well. Yeah. And if you can convince them, as we have, thousands upon thousands of people have been convinced that they should not continue to believe based on what we've done on this show, on other shows, in the debates, everything else, not me, us. And those people come away with a new understanding. It's like when I teach someone how to do a magic trick. If I show them the trick first, they can be completely wowed by it. When I show them how to do it, they're going to have one of a couple different reactions. They'll either be incredibly disappointed because now there's no magic in the world at all. It was just a little, here's the secret. I know something you don't know. Boom, I can do that. Or they're going to say, oh, wow, I just learned something. Not only did I learn how to do that, I learned how I was fooled in this instance. And that can help them in other areas of their life. Because recognizing how we go about fooling ourselves is critical to understanding how not to allow that to happen over and over again. Realizing that we all have biases, that we shouldn't hang on to positions just because they're ours, and that we are, whether we like it or not, stuck in this together is absolutely essential to making progress on any of these.